Welcome to everybody that's tuning in. This is the Spartan Chatter stage that's run by me on the community team. My name's Sam, or Snickerdoodle. Today, we are joined by the one and only Haruspis, who used to be on our team and is now working on some bigger and cooler things. But you want to give yourself a little intro, Alex?
I betrayed community team, left them behind, and I'm very sorry someone left me behind. Yes, I'm Alex Wakeford, franchise team at Halo Studios. I make things up for a living, which is pretty great.
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of child's dreams, right? You get to create
Yeah.
things.
Yes, it certainly was mine.
So today, our topic of discussion is going to be, I'm excited for this one because I think this is a really good book. But we're going to be talking about Simon & Schuster's novel, Halo Contact Harvest, by somebody that I feel like a lot of folks will recognize, Mr. Joseph Staten. He's been around Halo a little bit.
I've heard of him.
Oh, you've heard of him? Okay, that's good. Good. We're off to a good start. So, but yeah, so we're here. We're just here to hang out. We're here to hang out, talk about Contact Harvest. We're not here to hang out and talk about game-related or any leaks or anything like that. So if that's what you're here for, you can head on out. Thank you for hanging out. But as I mentioned, this is a novel that is published, I believe, by Simon & Schuster. And we have a really cool partnership going on with them. Do you want to talk about it a little bit, Alex? Because I know you've been working with them a lot longer on this than I have. But it's still very, very fun.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we chose 5 particular novels that we really wanted to put a bit of a spotlight on, and thus far, I think we've only said right now that we're doing Contact Harvest, right? We haven't revealed the other 4 yet.
Nothing has been revealed, so you guys won't even find out next month's yet, but you might get a tease if you stick around to the end.
Yeah, we'll give them a tease at the end about what's coming next. So that's yes, so with this particular Simon & Schuster partnership, we really wanted to put a spotlight on these really awesome 5 novels, starting off with Contact Harvest, and I believe there's some giveaway stuff that we're doing. Is that correct, Sam?
So I don't have giveaways for this today, but one thing that we have been doing is Simon & Schuster were very gracious and gave us giveaway codes for the Halo social platforms and for the Halo Discord. So some of you may have noticed that at the beginning of this month, I ran a giveaway here in the server for 5 copies of Contact Harvest. Thank you so much to Simon & Schuster and Spotify for making that happen. We will have 5 more for each of the following books, which is very exciting. And if you don't win here, you can always enter for a chance to win on the Halo social channels. So keep your eyes peeled for those. I believe those usually go live later in the month, somewhere in the middle. So you got a little bit of time. We can spread it out a little bit. But it is very, very awesome. And these are all audiobook copies. And I believe they're all through Spotify. So you can just open up the app and listen to it on the go wherever you are.
I've also got to give a shout out to Jack Fletcher, also known as Fletch, Ultimate Halo, on our team, because he put together a spectacular new piece for this particular book as we released one of the chapters as like an audio preview. And we did the scene, which I'm sure we'll discuss later, of the 3 prophets meeting with mental bias on the key ship, and he put together a really awesome new piece of that.
Yeah, someone should tag him in chat. I don't want to disturb him, but someone else can. I think that would be funny. So, but yeah, so I think that's good table setting. And again, we will be doing one of these for every novel. So the last Thursday of the month is our target date for these. So keep an eye out. I'll put the calendar up once we get, once we reveal the book and everything like that. I will make sure to put up the events for the audiobook, for the stage, for everything like that. So you can opt in. Won't forget, we'll be back here at the end of next month for the next book. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get Mr. Easterling to join us, maybe, perhaps. Perchance.
Or drag him, kicking and screaming.
Please, it'll be a good one. But I'm excited. So I think we can probably jump right in, right? Do you want to give a quick overview of Contact Harvest, other than it is... I feel like if you ask a Halo fan what their favorite Halo book is, oftentimes you're going to get... you will get other books listed, but I feel like the 3 most common that I hear are Contact Harvest, First Strike, and Fall of Reach. Seems to be maybe a little Ghost of Onyx in there, which is also a great choice. But
Those original classics, they really are original and classic for good reason.
right, exactly. And they're just so different than I think as the Halo lore and universe has expanded out. They're just so contained and they tell a story in and of themselves, which is really cool. So
Thanks.
we're starting with Contact Harvest. Do you want to give us a very low, maybe channel your inner monologue voice and give us a quick little? You did such a good job during mic checks. I think we got to bring that back for this. Just give the people what they're asking for. It's
All right,
me.
I'll
I'm
do
the
the
people.
back of book summary for this one. I've got it up here. It
Beautiful.
says, "This is how it began. It is the year 2524. Harvest is a peaceful, prosperous farming colony on the very edge of human-controlled space. But we have trespassed on holy ground, strayed into the path of an aggressive alien empire known as the Covenant. What begins as a chance encounter between an alien privateer and a human freighter catapults mankind into a struggle for its very existence. But humanity is also locked in a bitter civil war known as the Insurrection. So the survival of Harvest citizens falls to the squad of battle-weary UNSC Marines and their inexperienced colonial militia trainees. In this unlikely group of heroes, one stands above the rest. The young Marine Staff Sergeant named Avery Johnson."
Hey, that was so good. Thank you. Love that. So, all right. Well, I mean, I think we can just get started. Like, what? I don't even know where to start with this. We want to start with how do we feel about it when we read it or listened to it, or do we want to just start at the beginning?
I
Like, what?
remember reading that, as we discussed earlier. Talking about this book just makes me feel old inherently because this book came out in 2007, and 2007 was 18 years ago at this point, which is terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to be 20 years old here soon, which is, yeah, it feels like a whole lifetime ago. I'm trying to think where I was in 2007, and I think that was like 3 countries ago, which is crazy. Uh, but I feel like it holds up still for the most part. You know, it's still a
Oh,
pretty solid.
100%.
It's a solid book. It's what I also think is appealing about it is that you don't have to worry about reading other ones or what's going to happen. Like it's all right there. You can read Contact Harvest and be like that was the story. So, um,
Yeah, completely. Like, yeah, as the description says, this is the beginning of the story, essentially. Like, this is
yeah,
how the Human Covenant War really got started. It's quite funny because up to this point, we didn't really know exactly how the Covenant War started. It was this book that basically answered that question because there are bits and pieces of lore that sort of hint towards various explanations in the games and in the early books, but this was really kind of pulling the curtain back on the machinations of some of the characters going on behind the scenes.
right. Because up to this point, you just know Chief is killing bad guys and mowing down the Covenant, right? You don't know why, other
Yes.
than the Covenant is here, therefore must eliminate. So, um, but I mean, I feel like when the Covenant attacks your food source, you do what you got to do, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first read this, I mean, gosh, I was, what, 13, 14 years old at the time, so that's a while back. Um, but I distinctly remember picking this out of the library and being like, oh, new Halo book, I've got to read this. And just, I think it was one or two like just sittings that I finished this in because it was so thoroughly compelling with the different stories that you go into. Not obviously you've got Johnson kind of at the sort of the core of the story, but Dadab and Lighter Than Sun, the Ungoy and Huragok pairing. You got Tartarus and Maccabeus. You got the prophets, obviously their kind of origin story, and then you've got this like love story on the side with the AIs as well, Sith and Loki and Mac and everything going on there. So yeah, this book has kind of got a bit for everyone, I think. Whatever sort of flavor you're looking for in Halo.
yeah, and they're not like flat or one-dimensional characters either, right? Like there's some really solid character development around. I mean, pick any one of those. Let's like jump in. Let's go a little deeper on that, right? Like if we want, yeah, let's just start with the obvious one, Johnson, right?
Yes.
I mean,
So see, in Halo CE, he's introduced, and he's just basically one of the random Marines who's around, right? He's not really thought of as a fully fleshed out character originally. And, obviously, very very much a reference to Sergeant Apone from Aliens, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are familiar with that. But then obviously you get to Halo 2 and he's back, the details behind which are classified, of course. You got a big first strike for that. But he comes in and he's much more kind of like the Chief's buddy. And then that carries through into Halo 3, where there's a much kind of deeper emotional connection between these two characters before he, spoiler alert, dies.
Wow, I can't believe he spoiled it.
Same...
I can't believe he spoiled a game
know.
from 2007. My heart.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll leave.
No, please don't.
And then obviously, like, well, I think this was just before Halo 3 came out, if I'm not mistaken. Halo 3 was, or was it slightly after? Yeah, Halo 3 was September, and then Contact Harvest, I think, was the end of October that it released. So just after you finished Halo 3, after you had the emotional trauma of seeing Johnson die, you got to read the book about his life, basically, and how he sort of found his place at the start of the Covenant War and through the insurrection. So that was fun.
I mean, that's what happens when you give people 2 sticks and a rock. They work really hard.
2 sticks in a book.
Oh, yes, 2 sticks in a book. Yep, that's pretty solid. Yeah, I don't know, like, Johnson's just one of those characters that everybody loves, and I see why, right? He's got the personality, he's got the witty one-liners, and then you read this book and you're like, oh, this guy's kind of a badass on top of it all, right? So what's not to love? Just then Halo 3 happened, so I don't know. Yeah.
He's a badass, and he's got that tragic backstory that you're always looking for. There's a really emotional scene around the start of the book where he goes back to Chicago, the greatest Chicago industrial complex on Earth, to go visit his aunt in her care home and finds her dead. And then he sort of spirals into sort of drinking. He's out on the streets until he's picked up by the UNSC, and it's all very sad.
I mean, that's a crazy character development, though, right? To go from, I'm crying on the streets to, like, I'm one of the dudes on the front line of this fight, fighting side by side with Master Chief, like, wild. That is quite a jump there. So
I'm good to see where a bit of that kind of charisma comes from as well. Both from, like, you enjoy it in the game because he's funny and because he's a badass, and then you see actually there's some real depth kind of behind why he is kind of the way he is.
Yeah, he's absolutely, he's human. He's basically the best of what humanity's got. He's there. Just really, really good show of, what a human can, like, push through, if that makes sense. Like, people are resilient, and I think if you give them a chance, they show up well. So, what else do we got, though? You named off a lot of people earlier.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've got Al Signey as well. I wanted to shout her out because she recently reappeared in Halo Empty Throne, the latest novel that released earlier this year, back in February.
Shout out to Jeremy.
She is the Jeremy Patnard, wonderful man, wonderful author, fantastic book. Definitely go check it out. Yes, Julianne was the sort of the only commander character in this book. She was the one who's in charge, and she ends up having some interesting relations with our lead character. We were going to get there anyway. We'll rip the band-aid off and we'll go there right away.
If you don't know what we're talking about, finish the book, thank us later, or hate us later. I don't know which one, but that's at the end of the book. Book goes out with a bang.
It's your reward for getting there.
Oh, man. It's the most out-of-pocket thing in a Halo novel, I feel like. But somehow it works for Johnson and Contact Harvest, so we're here for it.
Yes. It encompasses the full range of human experience, which is...
Absolutely. Who else do we got? You mentioned, I want to get back to Dab and Lighter Than Some later, because that's my favorite. So we'll get to them later. But there was a question, actually. Thank you. I'm glad chat caught my comments here. There was a question that we were looking at that was about, well, I think it was a CIA question. Let me pull up the chat. Was Nolan Byrne part of the Orion project? So maybe we need to take a step backwards and go, because this is relevant to Johnson, right? on what the Orion Project is. Everybody's familiar with the Spartan Project, but maybe some people missed what the Orion Project is?
Yes, the Orion Project was basically the UNSC's earlier attempt at creating a super soldier program, and so it's kind of retroactively been named the Spartan Ones. They're the originals, and they were similar to the Spartan 4 program. They were made up of adult volunteers, like Johnson himself, to undergo like special training, some augmentation, not to the extent, of course, that the Spartan 2s would end up having. But yeah, Johnson has always been part of the Orion program, and yes, Nolan Byrne as well. He was part. You get that in some of the dialogue between them, when he's talking about how they were both made into killers, and with a lot of loaded kind of context behind some of those lines. So yes, he was indeed part of the Orion Project.
I feel like that's going to make some folks in that thread very happy, because I saw some people crossing their fingers that you would say yes. So, confirmation.
Sourcing this Halopedia.
Confirmation today, June 26th, 2025. That's excellent. I think the other question that I was thinking of before I saw that one was the Oracle. Somebody was asking about the Oracle, which I feel like dovetails nicely into the prophets and mendicant bias and all that. So maybe we skip to them and then we can come back to Dadab and Lighter Than Some.
Yeah, well, because another great feature of this novel is that you're not just getting the UNSC perspective on it, but the Covenant perspective on things as well, as the story is really kicking off and the Covenant Wars about to begin against humanity. So we follow the Prophet of Truth, Mercy and Regret before they were the Prophet of Truth, Mercy and Regret. Oh gosh, right, let's see. We've got the Vice Minister of Tranquility, that is Regret. There is the Minister of Fortitude, that's Truth, and then there's the Philologist, that is Mercy. Mercy, he's aboard the Forerunner key ship that's at the centre, at the heart of High Charity, while the other two are scheming to kind of overthrow the current prophets so that they can become the hierarchs. And so they go on.
I need people to understand that Alex is doing this off the top of his head because it's not in the notes. So he just knows this, which is incredible, and I love this.
That's what happens when you dedicate a significant portion of your life to just the domain of Halo knowledge.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, if we're going on trivia, then I've got to say that my favourite thing is still that the Prophet of Regret's name is Lord Moron, because it's one letter away from being Lord Moron.
I do remember that coming up, and we were looking at the images, and I was like, is this... I think I typed it wrong, even, because I just saw all the letters, and I just typed it, and I was like, that is not correct. He's like, close enough. So, I do remember that.
More or less. Yes.
More or less.
Anyway, back on topic, on the story, they go to the key ship because they want to receive the Oracle's blessing. And when they provide the Oracle with data on the recent discovery of a new species that the jackals have run into, Benjamin Elias wakes up and is like, oh, I know who these guys are. These are the Reclaimers. And the prophets are like, wait, what? Because the entire Covenant religion is actually based on a mistranslation of a symbol, which is a very familiar symbol for people who've played the games. It's the Reclaimer symbol. They believe it means reclamation, but it actually means reclaimer. So the devices that they use, the luminaries, which identify Forerunner artifacts, is actually identifying all the humans as artifacts. So they are understandably quite thrown by this revelation, because it would shatter the very faith of the Covenant. It turns out that some of our gods seem to have been left behind when they initiated the Great Journey. That's worrisome. And so Mendicant Bias then attempts to launch the key ship from High Charity, which puts it in danger of destroying the entire station. But fortunately, all those lovely little Legolo worms inside the ship's systems, they wiggle about and disable Mendicant Bias, which
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, you're about to fulfill your atonement for betraying the Forerunners. You've waited 100,000 years, and suddenly you're just shut down by some worms. It's terrible.
Yeah, they just wiggle around and shut everything down, hit the wrong buttons. I hate it when that happens. Should have put them away better. It's it's funny because I can totally see how you could make that mistranslation between like reclamation and reclaimer. Like they are very, very similar.
Yes.
So kind of can see that, but they definitely don't mean the same thing.
If I remember right, actually, they got the symbol wrong because they put it upside down.
Also, I feel like we've all done that at some point in our lives, right? Looked at something and been like, this doesn't look right. So you know what? Totally relatable. We love a relatable prophet. So, uh, but yeah. So the prophets did not have a very good day that day.
No, definitely not. Well, I mean, after that, they decided, you know what we should do? We should wipe these guys out. And so I guess from there, it turned into a very good day because they decided that. And then they became the prophets, the hierarchs of the covenant. So,
Well, yeah, if
they
you
went
wipe
from, oh no.
if you wipe out everybody, you know, you get to do what you want, I guess, at that point. So we're talking about you looking at the symbol upside down, and somebody in chat says, oh, just like a USB plug. Absolutely. Best example. Close enough. Oh, goodness. But yeah, and then, I mean, the prophets then, well, hey, if nobody's alive to tell, you know, to be like, hey, these guys messed up, then, you know, they can be the prophets all they want, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Which they are for the next, like, 27 years, so it's a very successful run for them.
yeah. I hate it, but I also kind of can't hate it. Respect the hustle.
Yeah.
So, I believe that is the current the way it goes. But speaking of hustling, though, if you played Halo 2, Tartarus should not have been a surprise. Like it should have been a familiar name that you see, right, as it comes up as you're reading along.
Yes, he's one of the major characters in the books, and he's there with his uncle, Maccabeus, as well.
Yep. That name always scares me. Every time I see it, I want to call him Macadoodle, and I know that's not right. But it helps me remember.
I always mix up, is it two C's or is it two B's? I can never remember.
Exactly. It was like, oh, it's Mac is something.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Macadoodle. That's great. Well, I always call Mendicant Bias Mendy B myself, so we've always got those shorthands.
Just a little Mendy B, just like somebody in chat's calling Tartarus tartar sauce. I feel like that is a very common, very, very common shortening. Not really shortening, but like a very
It's one
common
of those things
name.
that I feel like everyone arrived at individually. Like it wasn't even an online thing. It was just everyone ended up calling him tartar sauce.
Well, I mean, 2004, right? So there wasn't 2004, 2007, unless you were on Bungie forums, there wasn't really a lot of internet happening at that time, which is crazy also to talk about. So yeah, everybody definitely did have to come to that on their own. But it's
Oh, I've just seen Lincoln's put in chat, exalted heroic member in the old Bungie forums. That's great. That's a throwback. I managed to make it to mythic member status. I remember I got banned, so I lost that.
I'm not going to derail this, but we will chat about that later. I feel like overall, though, like when you're looking at, Contact Harbor with Tartarus, with, the Prophets, with Mendicant Bias, like it gives you a really neat look at just how complex the Covenant political and like religious, like they also, like ours is like, we know the human, like we understand the human one can be complex, but it's a really good like sneak peek behind the curtain at like how complex the Covenant one is too, right? It's not just a one-sided, human bad, right? Like they have their own infighting, they have their own problems.
100%.
And we just happened to run into them because we both wanted the same planet.
And it's that infighting that ultimately topples the Covenant, obviously, in Halo 2 and Halo 3 kind of sets the stage for their own destruction. So it's really interesting to kind of look at some of those politics, and particularly the Sanshayun, their scheming and their machinations. And, I mean, a lot of it revolves around their role of celibates, which is allowance to breed. Because their species, when they left Janja Kong, their home planet, it was only a few of them in the Forerunner keyship, certainly not enough to sustain a viable population for a particularly long period of time. They weren't going to prosper. So they've got a lot of sort of recessive genetics going on from inbreeding and that sort of thing. So there's what's called the role of celibates, which is Sandraim with the desirable genetics for breeding. And one of the hierarchs gets toppled for some of his own sort of dabbling because he was on the roll of celibacy, wasn't allowed to do that. And so the Prophet of Truth is like, oh, I'm going to use this to get you deposed from the hierarchs.
As you do, just casually.
As you do,
Yeah.
yes.
Because, building your political career in a lie is also just,
Oh, who would do that?
Who would do that? Let's see, what else have we not covered that would be interesting to cover? I still haven't forgotten about Lighter Than Some, but I think there was a really good question, and so I want to cover all that at the end. What about Sif and Mac, the AIs? Because that's an interesting one.
It is, yes. I specifically remember being in tears at the end of this book when there's the final message between them at the end of the Battle of Harvest, and I think Mac is just in one of the Jotuns going around, and after sort of the planet's been devastated. It's a very emotional ending that Joseph ended on. But yes, they're a very interesting bunch of characters, especially when you throw Loki into the mix and some of the stuff around rampancy and that. I don't think we're going to reveal any shocking truths about how they lasted so long and that sort of thing. That's inevitably going to be a question that comes up, but it's definitely very interesting to read about and consider. But I mean, that's just one of the other things that this book does so well. It really delves into human industry and how things are run, the automated nature of it, what human society looks like in the 20th century out amongst other colonies. So we get a lot of that, and obviously we've got the grounded military science fiction element of it as well. So again, we're just getting all these amazing different flavors of the Halo universe in this book.
There's so, like you said, there is so much of it, and it's hard, I think, to nail down, like, oh, this isn't necessarily my favorite overall aspect, right? Obviously, like with any book that I read, I have my favorite moments, I have my favorite characters or whatever, but in this one, it does cover such a wide range that it's so fascinating. I think that's one thing that keeps it from getting boring, is that there's always something happening. It doesn't get too caught up in, the minutia, but there's always something happening between, the fighting or, Johnson learning something new or whatever. There's just so much happening there that I think is really cool.
And of course, for people who are looking for the minutiae, there is a certain bit which goes very in depth on how slipspace travel works.
That's true.
That's good fun. The Halopedians, I'm sure, love that bit.
I mean, but to be fair, yeah, to your point, there are people that do enjoy that. It's not my strong suit,
Yeah.
not my jam, but for those that enjoy it, I can totally see why that is like right up their alley. So, all right, I guess maybe we can go to Dadav and Lighter Than Some, because I love engineers, I love Hirogax, so I'm very excited. They are probably my favorite character. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts there? What do you keeping us close for an eternal summer that will not fade? Yep. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about Dadav and Lighter Than Some?
I think they're a really lovely pairing with a really tragic ending in this book. Again, this book loves its tragic endings.
No happy feelings allowed.
No, happiness is fleeting, as we know. Before you get crushed underneath Artemis's gravity hammer, as Dadav does at the end of the book, as he flies into a fury over the death of Lighter Than Some, and inadvertently saves Johnson by doing so. So shout out to Dadav. He
the
helped
real
hero,
hero,
one of the best characters.
The reil hero of Contact Harvest.
A true hero, yes.
Someone says the engineer naming scheme is some of my favorite pieces of lore. Yeah, I think it's super cute. And I think it's definitely like one of the lighter touches that you can have in Halo, right? It's just like, how well does this blob float? And in this case, he's lighter than some.
Touches. Would you say it's? I was going to say, you said it's one of the lighter touches. Would you say it's lighter than some?
Hey, unintentionally. That was an unintentional pun, but I will take it. So I definitely appreciate those. But yeah, like the gravity hammer was just not nice. Just felt very over the top. So, but I think the the question I was most excited for was like, do you think Dad, Abin, Lighter Than Some would have been best friends had the end, like, had it not gone down the way it did?
Oh,
I mean, I feel like the answer to
best
that is of
friends
course.
forever, right?
Yeah, of
Cool.
course.
Like, really, we should do a what if story about, what would have happened if Dad, Abin, Lighter Than Some could just kind of escape and sit on a beach somewhere for the next 27 years and just have a nice time.
Just relaxing, kick back. Don't have to worry about tartar sauce.
Maybe that's a Waypoint Chronicle.
Oh, it could be a fracture. No, I'm kidding. Don't, please don't come for me. Um, oh man, yeah, this book just goes places, man. It starts out, and then the end is obviously we all know what the end is. I feel like even if you haven't read it, you somehow know what the end is because it's just made its way around. I want to see some
It's the
fan
Covenant
art.
War starting, right? That's what you're referring to.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Somebody wants to see Dad, Ab, and Lighter Than Some fan art sitting on a beach together. So hopefully somebody listening to
Yes.
this can do art because that would be very cool to see. Make sure you tag me or Alex in it so we can see it and share it. Oh wait, Mock's in chat. What am I talking about? Mock, you're an artist. Make it happen. So,
Been
uh,
called out.
ah, but yeah. I don't know. Does anybody else have any questions that we didn't cover? Is there anything that we missed? Because I'm looking at our list. I feel like we covered a lot of stuff. Do you have anything, Alex? Anything pressing?
Oh gosh, trying to think what we haven't covered. And because there's so much in this book that it's hard to sort of go into the specific. I mean, for example, prelates are first mentioned in this book. Well, technically they're first mentioned in the lore for the map Gemini in the Halo 2 multiplayer map pack, but they also are referenced in this book as well as one of the hierarchs before Truth, Mercy, and Regret. One of them was a prelate. So that was an interesting mention because they've come up in future fiction, including Joseph Staten's other novella, Shadow of Intent, which was released back in 2015.
I
So that
don't
was a
think
really cool additional lore.
I don't think I remember that they were in this one.
I believe it's the
That's a throwback.
Prophet of Restraint, who was funny enough the person I was talking about earlier, the role of celibates and getting up to some illicit activities. But yes, he was a former prelate.
All right, definitely throwback. Someone asked, "What is your favorite engineer name?"
Doesn't even lift.
Doesn't even live. Oh, poor thing. I don't know. I am partial to Lighter Than Some. I think that is it is such a good one. Just you're there. Sometimes sinks. There's some good ones out there. So, all right. He's like, okay, that was rude. Somebody in chat, for those that are not, those that are listening later, somebody said he's lighter than most now. That is rude. Poor guy.
Ouch.
R.I.P. in pieces.
Cybertron, can we ban that guy?
Oh man. All right. I think we've covered a lot. For those that are just tuning in, we're about at the end of our discussion on Contact Harvest, which has a little bit of everything for everybody. But do we want to talk about anything we're doing next month maybe? We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you, but we can I'm going to go out on a limb and say it involves Halo.
It does, yes.
Yes.
I would leave it there, but I think we should give them a little bit more. So I will say that it involves a young forerunner who goes on an adventure. And when he wakes somebody up, one of the first things that is asked of him is, "Why are you naked?"
I hate when that happens.
It happens.
Oh, chat seems to think they know what they're talking about. They're all very excited. They're saying, I'm going to start rereading now. All right.
Excellent.
As a reminder, I will be throwing up the giveaway for the audiobook copies for the next title. Sometime next week, I believe on the 1st is my goal. And then since that Friday is 4th of July, or as, we like to refer to it sometimes as Freedom Day. Sorry, Alex. I will probably end the giveaway on the Monday. So you'll have about a week to enter to win here. And if you aren't lucky enough to win here, you can also join us on Twitter or Instagram, I believe, which is where we'll be giving away the rest of our copies. But, yeah, this has been a really fun partnership with Simon & Schuster, and I'm excited for the next month. And we'll be in chat again. I'll be setting up new book club chat, new book club thread. So definitely feel free to jump in. Maybe you'll see Alex in there once in a while. I'm trying to con him into joining us. So, yeah. Any last thoughts, comments, or anything like that?
Just that I'm very excited for next month. It's one of my favourite books, just as this is one of my favourite books. It'd be great to revisit these.
I feel like they're all your favorite books.
That's true.
Like, if I said, what is your favorite book? I feel like we'd be here for 20 minutes as you hemmed and hawed over all of them.
Yes, you're
I
not
mean,
wrong.
I have a favorite, and it is not a very popular favorite, but that's okay. But I can appreciate all of them, and I do enjoy all of them. But I definitely have one that stands out a little bit more for me. So
Is yours one of the 5?
it is not.
Oh, interesting.
So it is not. That's okay though.
We won't say it because that will narrow down from the 34 other books.
Yeah,
What it might be.
we wouldn't want that. So, all right. We just want to give a shout out to Heruspus here and Simon, especially Simon and Schuster, for making this possible and this partnership with us. It's been a ton of fun. We're looking forward to the next 4 books we got coming out. So hopefully we see you guys next month. Again, I'm looking at the last Thursday of every month to do this book club here on Discord. So mark your calendars. See you then. And in the meantime, have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next one.